I started at 7.
That's the starting music for the podcast. There we go.
Alright. It has begun. Welcome.
If anyone has a name for what we're gonna be calling this podcast, feel free to shout it out. I have no idea.
Whoa, getting the Killah without the background is crazy. Look at that. Look at that nice.
You'll be able to
many
see
books
Winston, maybe.
God,
Wait,
I got a couch as well. Should I
Okay,
turn the
actually,
light off?
for a second,
I don't know how the
Killah,
lighting works like this.
Killah, I thought you were using like a fake GIF background that you could just find in like the Discord GIF thing. And you
That's
just
what it
looked up.
is.
You just looked up living room. And put
That's
that
what
in.
it is. I put in the prompt in the AI. I was like, default streamer, default background. And this
He
is
knew
what
this
it
was
gave
gonna
me.
be a podcast, so he put all his
deep cut.
books up.
Yeah.
The OG Killah V fans will remember
Yeah.
the default streamer gag from March of 2023.
And Cliff is uncomfortable with the real Killah.
Look at that artwork he has in the living room too.
I know, right?
I like that. That's some. What does it make you?
Legit.
What does it make you feel when you look at it?
Like it's not tight enough for it to be a flat picture because it's kind of wrinkly.
Mine's default too. Or you got Pluto with a Jason X mask on and two laundry baskets.
The most famous look for
Diamond
Pluto, for
buttons
sure.
and black curtains instead of a wall. Just
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, so good.
Yeah. So, let me start off by saying to all three of you guys, thank you so much for being here. Like, it's amazing to have friends like you want to join this little podcast, this little experiment that we're going to be trying. But yeah. So what I'm thinking is like today's topic is around like hitless running, but not necessarily just hitless running. So I think every big franchise, like I know in Pokemon, for instance, it's Kaizo Ironmon. I think in Souls it's Hitless. I think in Resident Evil it's Hitless as well. Like each of those gaming franchises has like its big challenge run that gets massive viewers in, that really can make or break a streamer, I think. So the idea is like we're going to discuss a little bit today. Like, do you guys feel that you guys had to go to Hitless to gain popularity, or do you think it's more together with the personality of the streamer? Like, how do you guys feel about that?
I think it's like a natural force that arises out of any game. Like when you have a game that people love, naturally people want to play it again and again and again. And so then once that's done the first time, you say, okay, well, I want to experience that again. Okay, well, what do I have to do? And then they have to make it harder. They have to keep raising the bar. And so naturally, I think a challenge running community will just grow out of any game that has returning love. But I actually think it benefits it because without a challenge running community, I think a lot of communities just don't exist. Like great examples like Final Fantasy VII. Like these are great games, but like nobody watches them because like there's just nothing. There's no reason to come back.
After that first wave of watching it, the same thing like with Black Myth Wukong. Unless it becomes like a hitless game, it's gonna just die out unless there's like a challenge run or something. No, I get that.
Like God of War, great game, people love
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
like it doesn't have.
Unless like a big
really.
streamer already is jumping on it or something. Yeah, there's not just like a community of like a few thousand or people. Even like you can say with like Cuphead, it's still a small stream category, but if you go on there, most of the streams on there are going to be people just doing challenge runs. It's rarely like you might see people's like, oh, first time Cuphead, want to check it out. Most of the people in there, it's like Gary, Oon, it's all the runners, all the challenge people that are keeping that community thriving.
And Cuphead's a great example because it's batting way above its weight class compared to a game like God of War, and that's because it has a challenge running community.
Yeah, well, if people are going to watch somebody game for the most part, they're going to be watching somebody doing something more challenging or impressive. It's something that, like, there's only so many first-time playthroughs that you can watch versus watching someone actually try to beat a whole game without getting hit or beating a whole game in 30 minutes. So that's what somebody's going to want to see, right?
Well, the journey is, and we've all seen it in our runs. The journey is what people latch onto. Like when the people who are there on day one of the run and see the progress and grow, like that's the game is the connective tissue, but they're there for the progress, the growth, and the like the victory.
You mentioned Ginge. You want to know what kind of got us into Hitless, and that's I kind of glad you asked that. I'm kind of glad like Killah's here because Killah's actually the reason why I'm in Hitless at all. He was the first Hitless runner I ever really started watching. As I'm pretty sure Ant introduced me to you through a raid or something, I believe. And you were doing your Sekiro Hitless run, and just watching that. And I think that's why like more the personality side of it got me into Hitless because it's both like kind of what Nixon said, that challenge, that aspect. I started with Sekiro, which is a game I already really, really liked, and I'd beaten multiple times. So it was just like, all right, what else beyond is there to do besides just beat it again? Doing the challenge run stuff. And then I never planned on really keeping with it, but then it was just the community. I think Hitless is such a great thing because, like Nixon said, it's that journey. So even though everyone who watches Hitless, we've all seen these games played 1,000 times, 1,000 ways, and whatnot, but we're there for the personality and we're there for like the actual kind of like the interaction. It feels like very malleable content where you just like you don't need to worry about the game. You can kind of just like focus on what we need to, and then just talk with chat about whatever the topic that kind of falls into. It's really lends itself well to being good streaming material.
Yeah, and like as far as thinking going to Hitless for more viewers, I don't know that it has more viewers. There's a really good community with it, like with the team Hitless and everything. It's just like crazy supportive. Just anybody who's doing it, there's just like a very helpful mindset to it. You go in, you want to help people, you watch them. It's just really supportive. And like originally, I started streaming not to actually stream. I was just trying to record the runs because I was doing challenge runs. And yeah, then it just, a couple people show up, and yeah, it's just everybody in the community really latches on to everybody else for the most part.
And prop each other up. I mean, it's like any hobby. Like it's like rock climbing, Like we have this shared hobby, and sort of built relationships around that. More so than just the game itself, but
yeah. But do you
also,
guys?
I was told that if I did Hitless, I could grow a beard like Killah's, and then once that
I'm still waiting.
I
think
just sort of.
I think when I get
I'm
Cuphead,
just-
I'll be allowed to start the process of it coming down. Like the day I wake up, I'm gonna have like half a Killah's beard.
I couldn't grow a beard for the longest time.
I think you need
just
to play
2 years ago.
He didn't get that beard until he started DS2, his DS2 run.
Hey, everybody!
I think the DS2 SL1 run will give you
everybody
that beard.
loves it. Not only is it everybody's favorite game for the gameplay,
yeah, absolutely.
The perks that come with it.
Well, actually, he got this beard after DS2, so if he doesn't get this new DS2 run, that's why he has to surrender it.
Exactly.
The lease is up.
It gives and it takes. Crazy.
Yeah, it takes.
But I mean, it's like you guys mentioned the feeling about like the community coming together, and that Hitless is kind of an extension of playing the game again and again. But like I don't know, like I've been on Twitch for like a year and a half now. I've known you guys for a year, a little bit longer maybe. Like I can't remember if you guys ever done anything else than maybe Deadless and Hitless. Like there's a lot of challenge runs in between, going, from playing the game normally to playing the Hitless route. Like you got a lot of fun stuff you can do with that. Like the runs I'm doing currently is Trobos only. You can limit yourself with rune level 1. I think everyone here has done rune level 1 runs. So, like, why not go for the more like, I'm not saying Hitless is a conventional run, far from it, but like, do you feel that the Hitless is the best way to reach your audience, or do you just feel like, okay, I don't really connect with the limitations of a throwables only run or a dagger only run.
Well, I mean, the run I'm doing right now isn't hitless, and
True.
I literally did it because it interests me more than Elden Ring hitless, because I think it's an interesting way to be challenged in that game that I don't think hitless provides, and which is why I think it's like a challenge run community is so dependent on what the game offers. Like when Killah did this, like I never would have thought of it doing this, because we were very much hitless coded, like hitless wired, and have been and then I saw Killah do this run. I was like, wow, this is actually, to me, endlessly more interesting than Elden Ring hitless. And so I went for it because I don't think you need to be rooted in that, but I also do think that there is a framework there. There's like an environment to excel in and grow in, because there's a known quantity in hitless.
For me, I would have to say, you asked like why not do like a deathless challenge. I know like there's stuff out there like the demigod run. I know like some people who are doing that where it's beating all the games deathless without like so hits and everything on wire. The reason why I want to do hitless is definitely the prestige of just not only there's that aspect of being like, oh yeah, I can be a part of Team Hitless, I can be a part of this community, but mostly to myself. I've always found video games are where I find like if you ever ask me what do you think you're best at in the world, it's like I'd probably say video games. And so I've known about Team Hitless. I never really strived for that. I never strived for that goal outside of streaming though before, mainly because the frustrating aspects of Hitless, because Hitless is hard. I think a lot of runners, like we always have to remind ourselves how hard it is, and we're always very hard on ourselves when we're in that PB1 hell. And like I've seen it with all of our streams. I've seen it like Sykes. I've seen it in where we're just like, oh, just games kicking our ass for beating ourselves up. But it's a very hard challenge, and trying to do it without the community and the people in our stream and everything, I couldn't do it. I would have thrown in the towel. I would have been like, this is just hard and really dumb, and I don't want to bother. But it's that community that we talked about earlier, where it's like you said, it's sorry, I'm a bit on a tangent, but where it's that why do I want to do it? One, I like the personal achievement I feel when I get a run. I like that I went through the barriers. Like, dude, when I get this Cuphead run, I know I'm gonna run over to Canada and kiss Killah. That's how hyped I'm gonna be, dude. It's just gonna be so fast. But it's like that community too. I like the prestige in it. I like that we all revel when we get in runs too. I feel great when I get a run, but I also feel super great when I watch Killah get a run. I felt great when I watched Sykes got his Remembrances run. It was hype as fuck to see when Nixon got his runs and everything. Like it's a good feeling to share because we all understand the work that goes into it.
My one
and
run
we
a
all
year.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Yo, the DS3 All Bosses is going to be in there one day.
Maybe.
Teasing. It's the teasing of it.
I really do. I sweet ass time.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah,
it.
no,
though.
that's a big thing too, is just, and you feel it when you watch, I think a lot of people, when you're watching other runners as well, you get, like Nix was saying, you get invested in the same run, and then you're feeling the same kind of nerves as the run's going on, and you get that joy as well. So it's like, just being a part of the community is you feel like a part of the run in a certain sense, in a small way.
But it's also just brutal reality that there are a million fucking variety streamers out there.
Yeah.
And if all you're really offering is like chill vibes, then I think it's like, unfortunately, there's not like a novelty to that. Like there's not something, and there's also not a continuation for people to latch onto. Like if you're chasing a goal, there's a reason to come back and be like, okay, how's that going?
Yeah, true. I want to check in on the regular, and it's also it's a bit of a lock-in situation. I don't think it's for everyone's case where all say we're stuck here only streaming that. We're all lucky enough to have really good communities that we can kind of play what we want and have people coming. But you also
when we venture out of it, We all I
right.
mean, we all lose viewership, but I mean,
No, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I was
but
just gonna end it right there. I was saying, but we do still see a decline in like the amount of people that are just coming in to hang around for the whole time. Like, there's definitely that aspect to it for sure.
Mhm.
there's a reliability to knowing that you're gonna be playing the same game for like 6 months. People know what they're gonna get, and like the thing is, like, I think a lot of people will choose what they view on game first, and then on the streamer. As much as like personality plays a huge role, like
There's a level
there's like
to
a
it
couple
where,
streamers, like they're in this room right now, where it's like
yeah,
no matter what you're playing, I'm gonna come. But
right.
like
But even then,
the
but what the
vast
game you're
majority of people,
playing,
like, yeah,
the game you're playing will also determine like what goes beyond just also that pop in to that also hanging around. Because I will also
totally.
deny, depending like even like the people who I'm always loving and popping every stream. Um, like someone Ducky was playing Final Fantasy Rebirth, and I remember just being like, "Bro, I love you. I'm just gonna be lurking. I don't have anything to say or
That's
add
the
to
thing. I
this
have no
game.
connection to this
Yeah,
community
I have
whatsoever.
like
I
I
don't know
don't
what you
like.
think.
I'm just here to kind of watch absent-mindedly. There's not much to add
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I
So
think that's a
definitely.
huge thing as well. Like when somebody I regularly watch is playing a different game, I'll go in there, but you feel like I don't know enough about the game to talk about it, so there's only a certain amount of stuff. So and yeah, you'll watch it, but it's not the same kind of connection where you have that experience with the game, so you can
Especially if it's something
weigh
like,
in. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
if it's
no
something that
worries.
you collectively run, then
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah.
that's huge. Like I'm hanging out with Dev, he's doing all bosses, and the fact that I have valuable input on these fights and what's going on
Yeah.
makes it more engaging as a viewer.
Yeah,
No, for
but
sure.
like the personality does of course play a role there, and the connectivity with the streamer you have and the runs you're doing. I mean, there are some streamers on Twitch with a rather large audience that are basically just blocks of cement sitting there doing their runs with very little interaction or with very little personality to speak of. There are
I think
definitely those as well.
some of that is like you get different things from different streams, right? The huge streamers, they're not really doing challenge runs for the most part. They're just there because they give one form of entertainment. And then there's another form of entertainment where you're watching somebody and they're just excelling completely at what they're doing. And that's fun to watch there. And then you get more people watching, and then you get people in there that are just talking about the game. For like a lot of different runners like that, you'll see their chat, and a lot of it will just be super fixated on game mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like a different
Like
kind of
Gino's chat is
product.
like a top tier Elden Ring think tank. And
Yeah.
It's
know,
insane.
And then you can go in Hobbs, and everyone's just bullying him. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just like hitless examples, though. Like there are a lot of like I would argue hitless. Well, it depends what you're gonna do. Like we talked about, there's that community, right? So you have that's gonna help you out. If you're doing hitless, automatically that gives you a little bit of a boost. I think depends, but it'll give you that.
It gives you a
It
slight
gives you a
boost, but
category.
it gives you a doorway where it like gives you a lot of access to meet other streamers and really kind of get yourself a foot in the door into the community.
Yeah.
I think
it's a real, like, yeah, I don't know. It's a fertilizer that just starting out as a variety streamer, like, it's literally like trying to grow like a weed in pavement, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, because
tough
I can
out
say
there.
as myself, Ginge, you asked earlier, like, what did we start on? I started on with Tekken because that was my initial goal to find viewers was fighting game community. That's a good community. That's another just adjacent community to stuff, and that's what I focused on. So yeah, everyone has like you got to start with something, and Hitless is a good way to get your feet on the ground and kind of running with it.
I also just definitely think that we're like on Twitch, we're very reliant on sort of a passive viewer, like a passive way of gaining viewers. We just expect them to fall into the room and start hanging out there.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is like hitless will help and all that, but like I think a giant thing if you're actually looking for viewers is like the networking aspect of it. Like getting around everywhere, you're gonna get more viewers than if you're just gonna start running Hitless or something like that.
100%.
And
100%.
also other things like a lot of people blow up on like YouTube Shorts and shit. Like,
Yeah, there's a certain amount of just like there's luck to it if you're gonna become like a huge
Totally.
streamer.
Yeah.
There's a right place, right time kind of thing. But there's like it's networking. You're gonna be if you're gonna put in the work, you're gonna see more
Yeah.
dividends from
And
that.
then
Right?
I think we've
So,
seen this just now recently with Minnie. Like Minnie has just started streaming, but she's been, I think, in all of our chats at some point, just talking to us, and it's been an amazing person even before she started streaming. She started streaming and she made affiliate in what, a week? So
speed run.
yeah,
Stream
it's
speed run.
definitely like
she's
the
part of this. She's
yeah.
part of this community already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
she was she like really kind of she showed up one night and then just says like, I'm here now.
Yeah, yeah.
And that shows the support of the community as well, right? Anybody who's in here, you see it a lot. Where if they're there, they're gonna get they're gonna get that support.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the biggest thing when you see people like that who are able to get affiliate that quickly. It's just they're a voice in the community, right? So everybody's gonna go. They know them. They're friends already. So.
And it's funny because Hitless is gonna be gone beyond just a streaming thing for me. Hitless now I just view as a like just a part of my life where it's like, oh, I've made some genuine friends and connections from this far beyond outside of just streaming and everything. Where I'm like, I talk to these guys on a regular basis and stuff like that. It's just branched into a new world of just friends and everything, and like, it's just cool to see that you're able to like. I never would have anticipated when I started streaming that I would have had like such good friendships where I'm flying out to San Diego to meet people from across the globe and everything. And so it's just I owe Hitless a lot to that and to like the relationships that's helped me build through that. And I think it's also just helped me grow as a thing. Like it's helped me grow more patient with self challenges where I've been in some life situations when I was having to manage the bar. I'd be like, I don't want to go in today. But be like, well, you didn't want to do DS3 runs either last night, but you fucking did them, dude. Get in there. Like it's a good. I think there's a lot of benefit to it.
Yeah, that's actually a big thing with it too. Is people will look at it like a video game, and you think to yourself as well, it's a video game, but like at the same time, it's just a goal that you're setting and you're trying to accomplish it. It's something you're working toward. So I think anything, be it video games or any other goal you're doing, if you're working toward it and you've done it before, this fucking dog, it'll help you with other things as well, right?
It's an unbelievable thing for patience.
Yeah. He's protecting me from birds. I'm really our natural enemy.
I've become so patient. I've become so.
How many times?
You mentioned the feeling about community and that Hitless gave you guys a bigger community maybe and as Tate points out, like he's going to San Diego to TwitchCon, meet some people there. Do you feel that that's just true for like Hitless, or do you feel that also extends into just challenge community as a whole?
I think like you said,
it's hard to describe exactly what people get out of any given community, because like I've noticed that there's several communities. There's like a cozy game community. It's a lot of people who just all thrive, get together, play Stardew, play Mystria, play Animal Crossing, and those people all have a very different connective tissue that pulls their community together compared to Hitless. There's also the Asterian Thirst community. It's very real. It's very real on TikTok. I found it. They connect over a very different thing. But it's real and it's there. And to say what unites those people is the same as what unites us is very different. There's the DJ community. Thank you, Mavis. There's like all kinds of I'm not saying anything bad, Minnie. Don't worry. But I think the point is that there's a very different connective tissue that unites every community, a different like energy that everybody connects around. But I think it's hard to put words.
I would compare it if you wanted to use it, because like all these communities have different little things that tie everything people together. I would view it similar to like a self-improvement community, where at the end of the day, that really is what Hitless is about. It's improving your skills, both as whatever game you're playing, and your patience towards yourself, and going through all the bullshit that Hitless provides in the hits, and depending on the game you're playing. So I would kind of view it similar to just like what brings together a gym community, what brings together a lot of fighting game community. It's that improvement and that self-betterment that you find through the conflict that is, be it working your body out, getting hitless, or winning a fighting game tournament.
And some are like it's not competitive at all. There are other communities that are built around competition, like.
And the Hitless doesn't have that super competitive aspect. I mean, you can go into it with like, I want to get more runs than this guy. I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, even speedrunning communities are surprisingly less competitive than you'd think. Like,
really, that is
like the top, like at least in FromSoft, because the top guys are still sharing strats. You know, and it's like they're still hanging out in each other's streams, and even though they're competing for the same records, but they're both optimizing the same route, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both of the communities kind of feel like it's them against the game kind of thing. They're all just trying to figure out what it is.
And it's also like
bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why.
It's like in Hitless, we all the moment we find a way we can just cheese the Radon DLC without parry and all that stuff, we're gonna do it.
I've done it with Big Veil, and I've never been happier in my life.
I saw that one. That's insane.
Brilliant.
I don't understand how people come up with these strats.
Oh my god, dude! Like the one where just like, if you put on a heavy shield, you put on this the dash wolf mechanic, and also these two talismans, you can dodge on his third hit consistently. It's like, okay, that sounds. What did you do to figure that out?
Yeah, and do you feel that that's the Hitless community stands apart from, let's call it, normal Souls challenge running, or do you feel that it's just an extension, but it's still part of the normal challenge running community, or how do you guys feel about that?
I think it's like it's its own category. It seems like it's its own community because they've made a community. There's a whole thing, Team Hitless. But I think that's just anybody who's playing the games, and then you hear about somebody doing something a certain way. Like when I was playing the games, originally I started playing the games because I heard they were difficult, so I wanted to try them. And then from that, like the challenge run, I heard somebody beating it without leveling it, and I'm like, oh shit, that's impossible. I don't know how they did that. Then I was doing that, and then I think I've told it before on stream that I got my first soul level 1 run, and then I sent it to my brother, and he immediately said nothing and just sent me a link of Hob beating the game without getting hit. And I was like, you're an asshole. But then that's how I saw that, and it just seems like that's kind of the appeal to it. You hear somebody doing a certain challenge, and you're like, holy shit, I don't even understand how that could be done.
I genuinely think most people stick around in my stream. Like I think they're initially there because they're like, I've been fighting this boss for like this, especially this last run, right? I've been fighting Morgott for 2 streams now, to the point where I know this boss so well. And when they come in and watch you do it, it's like, holy shit, this guy is fucking incredible at this, because I've been practicing for 2 days straight. And then they're seeing a boss that was incredibly difficult for them, and there's an immediate connection there where it's like, wow, I'm like immediately learning something that I tried. Like I'm learning it better than I did it, Yeah. And I think that's why because these people played the games, and it was exceptionally difficult for them. And so when they see people at a high level, there's an instant connective tissue.
Yeah. It doesn't even seem real. Like after you learn, we've talked about it before. After you learn the strats, it's kind of like, okay, it's still incredibly difficult, but like at first hearing about it, you can't even fathom it. You're just like, how superhuman is this person? And then you see it, and they're just like, oh, they're doing this.
Yeah.
I'll tell people.
I remember when Cliff came in, and he thinks, oh, he couldn't comprehend how you would do it hitless. And then you see some of the strats, and it's just like especially in Elden Ring, you go in there and you kill the boss and he can't move. Yeah, and it's just after you're playing the game on a first playthrough and you're spending fucking 8 hours trying to beat a boss, and then some dude walks in and hits him 3 times, and it's something to see.
I'll
It
tell a
has
lot.
an appeal to it.
And I'll tell people all the time, it's like a lot of that comes for me personally. I don't ever view myself as a great coach because eventually, if I've been doing a run long enough, I don't know the strats anymore in my head anymore. It's just like this is just muscle memory. My hands are just doing what they know what to do. I can't explain it anymore. I've been playing this game for 100 hours. Help me, like that
Just
kind of vibe.
autopilot.
It's just so much practice that it becomes like it's just you. That's how much time goes into it. It's because I underestimated Hitless, especially for Cuphead. God damn, have I fucking underestimated Cuphead Hitless. And like a little bit for Sekiro, I thought I'd be like, oh dude, I know this game easy. This will be fine. Fun fact, I never did the Shura ending before though, so I was always like, I don't want to end the game early. Why would I want to do that? I want to do the bosses after. So when I first started learning it, it took me like 2 days to even get them hitless because I was like, oh yeah, it's really fucking hard when you're learning a Sekiro boss for the first time all over again. I forgot that's actually kind of difficult. And oh Max, what? Okay. I lost the train of thought I was on. I was
we get a dog around and then
the
it's
difficulty, yeah, the difficulty. But like Sekiro took me about 2.5 months. Dark Souls 3 took me 6 months. Those weren't quick and easy time investments. And even the ones where people sometimes get quick and everything, a lot of that stems from they got it because they've already been doing hitless stuff for a long time, for a few years or anything.
Or like I don't know, if you have an RL1 in a game, I really think you're in a great spot to do hitless.
Yeah.
Immediately, because like you've done all the hard bosses hitless already, at least once, you know.
That's probably the most fun part. It's the part I enjoy most, is just the learning. The learning how to beat it, and once everything becomes like a dance everybody talks about, when it gets so rhythm based, and it's a lot better that way. Doing the runs are fun sometimes when they're not the run you've been doing for so long, but it's the learning of it is the most fun for me.
It's
and
a
just
funny catch-22 where it's
Yeah,
like the longer it goes, the more of a
Yeah.
pain, and like because it does eventually it can get to you sometimes where it's
There's
just
also
like
this like cusp where it's like when you're getting low PBs and it's like I need to step on the gas now and
Yeah.
get it, because if I run out of steam and go down the back end of this hill, oh boy, is it tough to get that motivation back.
yeah.
it's what I'm doing with Cuphead right now, where I literally today was like, okay, all my next streams are going to be very strictly Cuphead until I get it, because I'm in PB1 hell right now, and it's so much like you just got to stick on it, but sometimes the game's just not kind to you, and my dog is being.
These games are bullshit.
These games are not easy, and then we're just over here like, I'm gonna do hills. Yeah, it's just not gonna take a hit. Easy peasy.
You guys mentioned now that the kind of the repetitivity of it is that a correct word?
Repetition.
That word, thank you. Non-native English speaker, so but see that's kind of the thing that puts me off trying those runs. Like I don't think it's something that like the large majority of people find that entertaining to do themselves. Like it's entertaining to watch you guys do it. You know, I'm in you guys' streams all the time, and I enjoy hanging out there. But it's the repetition of it that might scare people off there. Like as you guys point out, you're doing the same thing for weeks to months on end.
I mean, but some people watch The Office every night, like literally every night. They come
Some
home.
people
they put on
play the guitar every day. I mean, it's like Nixon plays the guitar every. I'm sure Nixon does the guitar every single day too, and I'm like,
that's
and he's that good, incredible. And but like, or like, it's like going to the gym every single day, and sometimes it's just like any habit where like, or any hobby that you're doing. Sometimes there's that like kind of grunge and like stuff you're not.
It's like a comfort show, the reliability and the comfort of it. Sorry, Killah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna talk about, like, it's not related to Hitless, but like you said, The Office or whatever. There was times when I was working like huge hours, and you get home and it's like I can't even concentrate on something new. I'm just gonna put something on. I've seen it 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. I just can't. I can't be bothered to focus and retain new stuff.
And I think that's where the personality comes in. It's people locking for the reliable. Okay, I know this run. I know what he's doing. I know I've seen this all before.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're quipping jokes, or like the entire community explodes over peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
I find Hitless lets my personality shine more. Sorry.
Me too, and it's because I don't have to be like totally invested in what's going on in the game, because I know what's going on in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I know where I can talk. I know, like, I mean, to a smaller extent, it's like I know I'm fighting with this run. I'm fighting Loretta for the 8th straight hour. It's like, and I could probably do it faster if I was more dialed in, but I don't know. I think people like the reliability.
Don't you dare ever dial it in, Nixon. I'll watch you fight.
I'll
I'll watch you fight
Never
for
do,
millennia
man.
for like a month straight, dude. I
It's gonna
love
happen.
it. I love just
But I'll
watching
be
you just
upload-
go on a tangent, and then you'd be like, "Oh, we're at half health," and like, "Ah, damn it."
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna happen. I got the up close waterfowl dodge dialed 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a thing as well, where if you're running a game like that, if you're doing Hitless, you're doing the same thing over and over. You can just you can afford to talk. There are a lot of sections where you're not really doing anything. You're just waiting until the next time where you have to focus. While playing like any
great times to get hit. Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
time.
Oh, all the time, all the time. But then you get to blame chat, so it's fine. They
Yeah, I
shouldn't
love
have fucking
blaming
distracted you like that.
I love just being like, and I was looking at chat. Why'd I do that?
Yeah.
How dare y'all be interacting?
But like with first playthroughs, it's different because you're kind of trying to. It's a whole different beast with that kind of thing. Luckily, I have people who actually pay attention and know the games, because while you're trying to interact with chat and focus on the game, you end up missing a lot of stuff.
Thank
Or
God
just
for
neglecting chat sometimes.
That Metroid playthrough would have been a lot longer.
Yeah.
Without Jake
Oh, yeah.
and his guiding
Oh,
voice.
the Oot playthrough was awful. I don't know how she sat through it knowing about the game. But yeah, it's just a totally different thing. With Hitless, you're doing the same thing. You're just grinding. You can afford to just not pay attention to the game and focus more on chat.
Well, I'll also say from the community aspect of it, because we were talking earlier about that dip in views that we'll sometimes see in single player games and everything. I think a lot of it is because people can go in and not have to interact or talk about the game or something, because that just ties back into the interest of the game you're playing and everything. But if you know this person who's streaming DS3 is like, oh, they're doing a Hitless run, I can just jump in there and talk about my day, and we can just go on a tangent about that. They're not going to start getting pulled away by the story. And like that's why like I did my Black Myth Wukong game. This might just be the game itself, but I didn't know what the fuck is going on in that story. I kept trying to pay attention to it. And I was like, dude, they're talking in Chinese mythic dialogue. I don't know what's going on. I'm a monkey with a stick.
Tate,
Yeah.
you had the language
Not a
switched to
word.
Chinese. That was why. You didn't understand any of it the entire time.
I mean, this is also something that I know Pseudodoc, like he used to stream on YouTube. Like this is where I met him, and it's one of the things he said. Like when he was playing Ori 4, that he couldn't enjoy the story that much because he was busy with chat a lot. And I would think that would make like definitely for boss fights in Hitless. Like I know you guys pay less attention to chat during boss fights. Although one person here needs to have someone in chat constantly telling him, "Don't look at chat," right, Nix?
I don't know who you're referring to. Tate?
I mean, honestly, I thought he was referring to me because I've taken so many hits looking at chat and Cuphead. I was like, I know, you don't have to point it out.
It's easy to get distracted, especially when you're doing something like that where it becomes kind of muscle memory. Yeah, you can look away for a second and that can bite you in the ass. But I've definitely found with like first playthroughs, like I was talking about, I miss stuff on the game
I also think
just
it
because you
depends
look
on-
away.
Sorry. It depends on like that's why I've become choosier about which games I'll do a first play on.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, a Souls first play has never gone well. Like Liza P, that first play did not go well for me.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I get
Soul's
frustrated.
first play is
feel like I
hard
get
on
impatient.
stream.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
don't actually enjoy that because I don't feel like I'm engaged. I have to be very focused, and I get frustrated. But like story games, these like chat becomes an integral part of that for me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's where I think like you create new content. You create something that did not exist on its own, and in doing so, have created a novel experience for people.
You've also
But
done good with the Detective Nix
Yeah.
persona.
it's
That's been a
always
huge.
put a kibosh in that, but we got to bring it back.
Oh,
Now that we've banged Shadowheart and that game has been
you
completely...
can just be done with. You don't have to beat it anymore. You've already done.
I beat
You
the
did
game
beat
already.
it.
So...
What I do want to pick up something that was said earlier, like I think it's Killah who did a Elden Ring. It's your first playthrough, I think, in that game was going for the Hitless.
No.
No, because I remember something about like season 1 bingo, where you really didn't know that many spots where certain things was because you mainly know the Hitless route in that game.
No, that's just classic Killah who forgets everything. It had been more than 2 months since I played my first playthrough, so I'd forgotten everything about the game. But yeah, knowing the hitless route really doesn't mean you know the game at all. Because for the bingo, I had to I put more work into that than I did learning the Elden Ring run. There's just
you really eliminate as much of the game as you possibly
yeah, and especially with
No,
the Elden Ring run because
No,
it's so open world
Yeah.
and just the
Right.
fights aren't real fights.
I feel like with
you
Demon
don't know.
Souls, Killa knows everything about Demon Souls, but like that's just because you just figure out what breaks the game, and the levels are so small and integral.
That's what Hitless is, and
Yeah, it's
just
really is just like
for my memory as well, I had to relearn that completely to teach it to Prof because I could remember very little about it.
my favorite Killa stream is the one where he hopped on because he was about to get Demon Souls, and then he got hit on the guy on the stairs.
I loved that one too. It felt so good.
And it's just like a 10-minute stream that ends in a really upset Killa. And he's like, well, sorry about that, guys. And then he hops off and like
I forget whose chat I was in as I was doing it. I feel like it was maybe Anth playing Lies of P or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was just playing and I'm like, okay, maybe I should go on stream because it was like the second last split. And no, I shouldn't have. But either way, I'd rather that than get it offline. I think I would run it again if I got it offline.
I almost got Cuphead offline when I was doing practice on my PS5. And it was like on halfway through aisle 3, and I was like, I'm just gonna take a hit. I don't want to get this offline. What am I gonna fucking do? Just like, guys, I just got it.
Yeah, in the back of your mind, you'd be like, or at least for me, I'm like, people won't believe it. People won't believe you. They'll call you a fucking liar.
I'll have to go online. I'll have to go live again and keep doing it. And then in the back of my head, I'll be like, you've done it before. Why can't you do it again?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a big thing.
Yes, when I tried to get it offline because I didn't think I could handle the stress of getting to Gwyn again and that situation and be like, oh my god, what if I get there again and fuck up?
That's such a unique situation of like when your bottleneck of the run is the very last boss. That's the fucking worst. There's
never underestimate the final boss.
I'm terrified of getting hit on Devil and then having my I'm stuck on the last boss of aisle 3 Cuphead right now. That's my distance PB, and I'm just like, he's so easy. But now I just know every time I get to him in a run, I'm gonna be like,
it's a complex. You build a complex, and that's the worst thing you can do. It doesn't matter how hard they are if you've built a complex.
I know. Nix only did that because of the 3 I lost to Cinder. He was trying to make me feel better.
It's true.
Yeah, that's what it was. I could tell from a mile away.
I've never been accused of throwing for content. So
yeah. Oh, I love that one all the time. Of course. Yeah. It's flattering that they think you're good enough that you could throw for content.
Yeah.
I mean, Hub does it all the time.
Love the idea of
Hub might be.
I love the idea of people in chat when they're just like milking the run again. I see it's just like, you know how much I wish I was done playing this game right now.
I'll be honest with you, like the week. So if I'd gotten it on my first time I got to go in, I would have missed out on like 2 weeks of great streams.
No, but true. That's the thing too. Like as frustrated as I've been with Cuphead, because that game is more frustrating than any other run I've done because the hits feel so cruel. I look back at every single at the end of every stream. It's just like, this is a great stream. I can't really be upset at the end of the day.
And there's something there's a very real boom bust experience with Hitless. Like if you're looking at viewership and you care about viewership, like you will often start a run with nobody watching. By the time you're at the end, you're putting up 30, 40 viewers every stream, and then second you get it, move on to a different game, you're right back. Like it's definitely which is part of the discipline.
It's just like that, and like would love for the idea of being able to just do all variety and everything. I think it's a choice where it's like I've talked about it with Nordic B because he's someone who's like he knows a lot of Hitless people.
And he's doing quite well.
And he's just like he felt it is funny because he felt stuck doing just soul stuff, but he didn't want to go to that Hitless route. He was like, I don't want to commit to that challenge and just doing that all the time. And he's done
his energy, and he's like, you don't go to hang out with Nordy for him to be stressed to the fucking wall.
Exactly, exactly.
1,000, you know.
And is it like I actually, if you don't mind,
go there to watch me crayon.
I have a bit of a question. If I could throw one out there, Ginge, I know you have a bit of stuff and everything. I'm curious, how do you guys handle that frustration part of Hitless? Because for me, that's been my biggest thing that I've like dealt with, and I've always felt like still slightly embarrassed about. I hate it when I do get super just filled with rage on stream. Like there's a couple moments. There's one, someone clipped it, and I remember I was like, why would you clip that? Where I took that hit to Prince's on the bone out, and I just full on slammed my hand into my desk out of pure rage and everything. And I hate that stuff. So I feel like it's gotten me better. But like, how do you guys feel like that? Like just that moment.
Show him the hole in the wall.
Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, I've had a couple of desk slams. So like, as far as getting angry, I've always had like a temper, but like at the same time, I'm pretty repressed or stoic. Just my reactions are a little more dialed back. Just I don't know if that's the way I am. Except when I get this run, I'm gonna pop off with the Tate celebration.
Oh, I can't wait.
No hit. I'm gonna just say that. I need to practice it. I'm not done yet. I get very, very angry. Just a lot of the time. The only time you see it a lot, like I'm red zoned and I can't control it anymore because I do get angry a lot. I try and calm down, but.
I yell that I'm a fucking choke artist and I scream that at top of my lungs when chat's trying to console me. The thing is, like, and I've been here with Sykes where people are like trying to console him in chat, and I'm just like, just don't. You have to feel this right now, and it's like that's part of it, and it's like, you don't want to be pictured losing your top after just throwing a fucking 3-hour run, your own frustration, but like. It's not unnatural to feel frustrated in that moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the healthy thing to do is let it out, and to repress it and is not productive. I mean, punching holes isn't productive either, but there's like
I'm making jobs out here. I'm creating jobs.
Maybe
I'll sub it out. I don't know yet. It's still there. We might get a guy in here.
Oh my God.
I also don't think that it's just for Hitless runners. Like even with the run I'm doing now with the throwables, like yesterday I was killing Calamite with just throwables, and I was at 1 HP left, both me and him, and he just kills me, and I had to end stream there. Like I was just like, nope, that's it. Like it's a fight that's around 45 minutes long.
Oh God.
And at that point you're just like, okay, fuck this. I need to get away from this right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's.
Sometimes you can use that anger to push on through, though. I think that's how I got my
again.
I think that's how I got my Sekiro run, because I was going for 6 hours one day, and I was just like, I can't stop. I'm getting it today. Like I don't care how mad it makes me.
But I get and I will be honest with you. Yes, I've used that energy. Like the DS one was like both. It was. I've never been in such a bad place on these runs than where that run took me. And, I mean, the decisions I made probably expedited getting it done. Was it good for my brain? Probably not. Did I handle it in a healthy way? Probably not. But but it got the job done, and I don't know.
You learn something from that as well. That's what I was talking about earlier. Just with it's just video games, but at the same time, you're still feeling those emotions, and you can be like, I didn't handle that so well, but you learn from it.
But this is why I think there's a power to these things, is that because it's more than just video games, it's human accomplishment.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
In a very real way, Hitless is interesting because you can tune in for the whole ride. Like if you're doing a marathon, yes, it's a very big achievement, and it's like, okay, you got a great time, but people can't come along with you on that. People can't see the progress. They can't see like, oh wow, I shaved 10 minutes off. You can post your Instagram stories, but it's not the same way you can watch the growth every step and see that huge, because we've all had the big moment, where you just flip your top and everyone's losing their shit in chat. It's this big energetic thing, this big culmination.
Yeah, just poggies throwing everywhere. W's.
And I just don't think any sort of
it's also something
playthrough is going to give you that.
It's also something you can tell most people, even like people who aren't super like Souls players or anything. Most people who just know video games and play video games, who hear like Dark Souls, like, oh yeah, I know what that is, and you can just tell them like, oh, I did it hitless. They'll be like, wow, that's really impressive. Like, yeah, exactly. Like it's a bit, and like I won't lie. My biggest motivator at first was, one, I wanted to be like Killah when I grow up, and two, I want that team hitless next to my things. To me personally, it felt like a bit of a little mark of like, hey, I can kind of game. I'm a bit of a gamer.
Something of a gamer myself.
This sips on Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I've said it before as well. And it's not like a modesty thing. I'm just not inherently good at these games. Like, I'm not bad at all. I'm decent, but like it's a lot of just trying.
I think I'm straight up bad. Like,
yeah, so do I. I don't want to say it. I think I'm bad at
straight up bad at these games. Like, cause like my first plays take like twice as long as everybody else's. I'm like, and I'm sitting there like you guys, like these people don't even. I play these games like 8 hours a day. I still can't kill these bosses in under 10 hours. And everybody else is like, oh yeah, no, he wasn't that bad. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? I should be better at this.
And then the ones who are like, oh yeah, this one was tough. It took me like 10 tries. I'm like, fuck you. The easy one took me 10 tries.
I think the biggest thing is like, I think
4 hours is standard for me on any boss.
I don't think those people were ever like, yeah, I fought him for this long, then left and came back and then beat him. You were like, I came in this level, I beat him at this level. I didn't leave.
I am a stubborn mule. I show up at a boss fight and don't leave until he's dead.
Yeah, no, that's a cool strat you're talking about. But what if I just keep on doing this same thing until it eventually accidentally works?
Yeah.
I think there's like a clip where I was saying that, where I'm just like, I only play these games, I should be better at them after a specific hit.
Yeah. I play FromSoft games every 10 hours a day. I should be better than
I do.
I remember that clip.
Yeah, it was with like the Bloodborne thing that you did last week, I think. Like,
oh yeah,
take away all the hitless threats and then the hitless stuff and everything, and it's a completely different game again. Like,
I'm a very average. Out of people who play video games, I'm an average player. Yeah. In the grand global scale of every single person, maybe I'm above average, but anybody who actually plays games, I would say I'm average or just
reminds me of this one time where I'm just like, Sykes, we're pretty like, out of every single person in the world, we're in Team Hitless. It's like, it's pretty good. It's like, wow, man, when you compare it to 8 billion people, that's pretty crazy. Like, it's like, okay, Sykes, whatever.
It's all about specificity, You can get a world's first if you get specific enough.
Dude, but I wonder, if we now, let's say we take away all your hitless strats. Let's say I challenge all 3 of you to do a run of let's say Dark Souls 1 or let's say Dark Souls 1. You have to complete it deathless. You cannot use a single hitless strat. Would you guys be able to do that though?
There's a certain.
No, I couldn't.
There's a certain amount. Like, I'm sure Nixon it gets to a point where like it's not about the strats. Like you can give Nixon ONS with fist and we'll be able to get it just because you've practiced it enough that you're not using strats, you just know the fight.
Yeah.
So like
To that,
so for a fight like that, but any of the fights where it's just a strat where it's scripted, if it's scripted, you get me to fight them, I'm not gonna
I might die on
know.
Nito, to be honest. If I'm not allowed to, like, I'm not allowed to use fog ring and slumbering.
Yeah, so if you're talking about something like that, that would be bad, but still, even speaking on that, it's like we both know the moves. So like we know a lot of people wouldn't know. You can just fucking walk to the right, walk up against him and go right and he can't hit you. So it's like that's not really a strat, it's just something you know. But if say it's what game? Well, pretty much any of the other ones, just DS1 and DS2. There's just a certain amount of boss knowledge that you get doing it. That
I would say DS2 a lot of the fights you just have to scrap.
Yeah, like especially in like the runs that I've done, like Sekiro can be kind of scripted. There's a few scripted fights in there, but like in DS3, I mean, it feels pretty much
scripted.
Yeah, I was just thinking that same with Aldrich. You skip phase 2 for the most part.
Yeah.
Phase 2. DSA, as many phase 2s as is humanly possible.
Exactly.
And then you skip princes if you decide to do princess cheese. But other than that, you're pretty much scrapping with a lot of those bosses in there. And like it's just about learning them and getting it down.
If I had to fight princess straight up, I'd die.
Oh yeah, if I had to fight a prince, I've never done them hitless without doing the strat, so I wouldn't be able to do that.
And then talking about, it's hard to talk about the strats with it not being a skip or a script, because like with princes, is it a hitless strat to stay at his back shoulder and just keep on circling? It's not really a strat.
Like an 8-league try to do,
yeah. It's just that's your fighting. You know how to fight him. You know what he's gonna do.
Like I did that on Loretta just instinctively. It's just
exactly
to a point where
it's hard to unlearn that's gonna work. It's not really a strat. You're not gonna be like, okay, well, no, I'm just gonna stand in front of them then.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's doing the hitless runs. There's a certain amount that you learn about the game, but like
it's also
you pointed out earlier,
to not do it though. Like
exactly.
That,
you can't unlearn that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna not strafe under attacks because I wouldn't have done that.
I've considered not doing Bloodborne hitless because I'm just like low key. I'm sure if enough time passes, I could come back to them. But for right now, Sekiro and DS3, I'm not really able to play those games like just casually because it's like I've already made them so easy in my head now. Where it's like, unless I'm specifically telling myself to go for this bad weapon or something to make it harder for me or something, I can't just really go back and just do a casual, normal playthrough. Give it if I try to do Sekiro hitless right now, I'd be lucky if I got sub 10 on a PB. It's been almost a year since I've touched the game. But I still remember a lot. What did you say, Nixon?
Well, I was just thinking with this, I was thinking last night with this run that I'm doing, it's like, none of these fights will ever be harder than this. This is the new baseline. Anytime I fight them after I complete this run, it will be easier than right now.
Oh yeah, and you're gonna just nail through their health and everything. You're gonna try to do a casual play. They're like, we've come back to Elden Ring after 5 years, and be like, oh, this game's piss easy.
Any challenge run, like you're going to recontextualize the way you experience the game.
Yeah,
it's just kind of part of it, and that's why you have to keep raising the bar.
Yeah, I mean, like
because the game, you've seen through the veil. You know, you've stared at the wizard behind the. And
there's two routes you go with that.
Dancing around barefoot.
You go like all bosses are SL1, or you start doing marathon runs. You get to choose a path to go down, young one, and eventually they all lead to God Run.
Well, Ginge was asking at the beginning, like, why do we do hitless and not like the run he's doing where it's consumables only? But like that's what it progresses to. We're just not at that level, right? You see these other runners like the Baryons, Genos, and all them. They're doing all this shit. Shilky. Everybody who does enough runs, eventually it gets to that point where they're just like, well, yeah, the game's too easy. Like I've done this
suspended.
before. It's not challenging. I need
Mike's
a
about to start
challenge.
a God run after he gets Demon Souls next, because that's like his next thing that he wants. Like that's the next level up in all of his, because he's basically done every game Hitless now almost.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's just kind of that
Dad's
natural
running up
step of
against the wall.
progression.
He's
I'm
burnt out.
planning on after this doing DS2, DS1, and then I want to do trilogy myself because that's kind of like how I envision my next step up is like, okay, I've gotten my individual runs in the game I wanted. Now I want to see if I can put them back to back, and then
Yeah.
maybe one day when my kids are going off to college, I'll start God Run because it's gonna take me fucking 10 years to get through Cuphead
great.
PB1. I'll get God Run like a week after I get Cuphead PB1. I'm just gonna be
As
on
you're
this for 10
sending him
years.
off, you can have Killah on the screen, and he'll be
Yeah.
There goes
PB1.
Good luck,
Hit to
Meta.
Nishandra.
Good luck, Meta B.
like
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
No, but I think like
Our kids are vehemently anti video games. Like I saw my dad every day in front of a computer playing video games. I hate him.
I think like the challenge running aspect, because we see like hitless runners go for even more challenging, like hitless or L1 using just a long sword or you know, stuff like that. Like, do you feel that that's the normal progression then from challenge running into hitless into even more restrictions?
I think the biggest thing with that is just you love the game and you want that same kind of challenge that you originally had. Enjoy the game, you want to keep playing it, but to keep playing it the same way every time is not it's not interesting. So you add other restrictions to challenge yourself.
Yeah, I think it comes also down to a person by person basis. Everyone has that personal challenge where they'll find enough satisfaction once they hit it. Like for me personally, I like doing DS3 all bosses. After doing DS3 taught me, I was like, oh, I don't like doing a deeper challenge run after doing another one. Because I already feel like I've been playing the game so much, I don't get much enjoyment out of that. So for me, I want to do hitless in all of the games across, but I'm not super interested in doing like I don't know if I'll see myself doing SO1 all bosses DS1 one day. Maybe, but until that's like a run where I'm just like I'm out of ideas and I need a run, I don't see myself because that's just not. I don't care enough for that challenge for my personal self.
So it's interesting to see what like people latch on to too.
Mm-hmm.
Like and like different
Aunt loves DS1, and I just could not. I can't. I don't stand. I can't. I could care less for it. It's everyone's got like kind of their Souls game that they really like.
And I think like it's not, you don't necessarily have like a great example is Gloom, who has done a hitless run, but she's thrived on these alternate controller runs and like dance pad runs, and she's carved herself a little niche there, and Prof did quite well with those too, with Bloodborne, like his world's first guitar deathless thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's definitely not only just hitless, but there is a framework there, especially I think it definitely like my first stream was literally I tried to stream Spider-Man like my day one and my computer couldn't handle it, and then I tried the next day and I just jumped in and just started running hitless. And when I say that, I mean I just spawned in high wall, started like going step by step with Squilla's guide and like trying to do what he was doing, and then Blub de Blub, who I haven't seen in ages, was like, hey dude, like first of all, you're gonna need save states. You're gonna need.
Yeah, let me make this way easier for you, real quick. Oh god,
DS tool for the ages, and I don't even remember if I used it particularly for DS. I definitely didn't use it the way I use it now, where just no death is on as a given until I have the strats down and it's clean, you know.
Exactly.
But, I was definitely propped up, but I was picked up. I was just like a little like baby orphan in the street, and then I was picked up by the hitless community and given sort of like I met Killah. There was nobody in our chat rooms when I met Killah. We were just both running DS3.
Yeah, and that's just the support of the community. Just everybody's going in there and looking to help you. They'll give you strats, give you just any sort of help.
And the benefit of running mutual runs, running runs that other people are doing. Because then, okay, you have a shared connective tissue that you can connect with.
Yeah, like Gary and Oon have been testament to my Cuphead run, and like they're so freaking good at that game. They're insane. It's just like it's just cool. It's like we're all sharing similar interests. We all want us to get better and everything. No one. I don't think anyone in Hitless goes into a stream and just is watching them waiting. It's like I'm just waiting for you to get hit. I mean, maybe there are a couple if they're giving the view, a lurk's a lurk. It's like they're watching in there to be like, come on, I'm waiting, like, oh, Killah, just get it. Yes, there it is. Good.
Well,
Good.
I do look so cute when I get, so I can understand that. But it's always just trying to figure something out. Like if I see something in the game that works, I'm gonna go over to somebody and be like, hey, this right here works. Where it's like, if it was more competitive, like we were talking about earlier, then people would like keep these strats to themselves. But it's like as soon as somebody figures something out, they're like, hey, try this.
Well, the thing is, you can't really keep it secret because the second you use it, everyone.
So why bother?
Yeah, right. If you just start DMing everyone, like, hey, can you take down that clip?
But I think
we've all clip. That's my strat.
The only reason I can think of this is Gino, season 1 Bingo Brawlers, pulled out the Sacred Blade Mace strat.
Yeah.
In the final, and I guarantee he was sitting on that one and did not pull it out until the final because he knew the second.
That's a whole different beast, though. That's like legitimately a tournament. Yeah, that's a tournament.
I'm not calling him an asshole. But like,
no, you are.
That's the only instance where I think. But again, as soon as that happened, like even in our bingo, what was it? Was it Firefell or was it? I think it was Firefell. Firefell was like, yeah, no, what you should do is grab the mace and go to Sacred. Like it's like he did it one time. Now everyone is gonna do it.
That's what I did for bingo. I just watched him all the seasons or for that season and just copied what he did.
I got.
What do you know? You just
bingo season 2, and I went in so unprepared and just like I was like, I think it'll be fine. We'll try to run by the seat of our pants, and I went against Chris, who had spent nothing but the previous month studying that game in every bingo square, and I just got absolutely cooked. Because he wanted to show up that next season. He was like, all right, this is my tournament. I'm actually
because it's his tournament and he got knocked out in the first round.
Yeah.
He was like, I can play.
And dude, I was like, oh dude, Chris my opponent, sweet. And I just didn't consider the ramifications of him losing the first one and how hard he would go. Because I was just like, yeah, Chris has got this. We're 20 minutes in. He's got 5 squares. All right, you win.
I mean, the opening match in season 3 was me against Crisco, and I mean, I'm not bragging, but yeah, I mean, it is something like the bingo thing, the stress that you get with that as well. Like,
it's a different stress. It's why I don't really want to do bingo again. The stress I feel like. For me, when I'm doing Hitless, when I for recent stuff, when I get to aisle 3 or Cuphead or anything, when I feel like that nervous beat in my heart and everything, that's a little bit that's like a chasing the dragon for me. I kind of that's what Hitless has become. I've noticed where I'm just like, I kind of live for that thrill and like the getting in there, and I'm like, I'm fighting for that, like that let's go. I want that next pop off at the end of the run. Like, I love that release and that energy. It is a high. Getting a Hitless run is 100% a high. It's a like, and then you compare the heroin to make the heroin point even further. My second run when I got it, the high went away faster, so I was like, I need another run.
Yeah.
I gotta get back out there.
And that's why you see like guys like I remember Sense, he got a run, and literally I think it might have even been the same stream. He just started routing the next one. Didn't even take a fucking second. Like, I gotta get going on this next one.
It's like that's why you build it up, because eventually it's like, okay, all right, I've done this game Hitless in these categories so many times, but let me get that high.
I take my sweet time between runs. Like I only have 2.
Oh, same. I only have 2 as well. Killah, you have 10.
DLC's kind of a run. Like I attest that it is longer.
I say that's a run.
Bloodborne Hitless, but.
If they make Elden Ring DLC its own run, I don't know what they decided on that or something, but like,
I mean, people are definitely running that individually.
I just can't see trying to do a full run including DLC and not make it its own. It's too
much.
Like
Someone's
that's
going to do it, obviously. But
of course someone will, but I
it's-
think if
it's
you're making
fun.
that the only way to get DLC hitless is like, oh,
Oh, for sure.
not
Oh,
a
and
kind.
Team Hitless, they made just the DLC a thing.
Yeah, okay.
But
Also,
again, these are
like-
just challenge runs. You do whatever you want. Right? Team
Yeah,
Hitless is
that's the
awesome
thing.
because it's a great community. But
I like that it adds a lot of stuff too, because that's the cool thing about Hitless was I thought it was very strictly like the Souls games, and then just like Celeste and like just one of the 2D
Resident
games,
Evil
but not.
has a decent
But yeah, now
gameplay.
they're doing Resident Evil. I
Yeah.
think did they add Ocarina of Time as well, or Mario
I'm sure-
64?
I know a guy who's DJ Carmichael was doing the 3D Zelda God Run. He's doing
3D Zelda
Wow.
God Run. Oh
He
lord.
was doing Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, I think maybe Skyward Sword.
It sounds so long.
But I gotta be honest, with you Skyward Sword would be a fucking disaster with the motion control.
Oh my god, you just it
You run
really
through runs,
relies
and
on
then
your
you do this
hand-eye
properly,
coordination.
like, fucking, I did this instead of that.
Then you gotta like that's your move control scheme you gotta adjust to. We need a Souls VR game that becomes a part of Team Hitless categories. I need to see Killah in VR being like, no, like coming down and like, don't hit me, I'm hitless.
Yeah. Who was it in Killah's chat when he was playing Armored Core that there was people trying to get hitless on that one as well? Like if there's one game like with yeah, I mean it's such a I'm not saying it's a bullet hell, but it's close. Like getting a hitless on that one, and then the fact that people are actually running that and trying that still baffles me.
He was able to get a lot of the spots individually hitless, segmented, but a lot of them were RNG based, and then a lot of them were like Diagro long shot based, which is kind of.
That's always like, that's
where you
it's
just
like-
enter the boss arena and then he doesn't notice you and you just shoot him from afar.
strats, baby.
Yeah.
Like,
there are some games that are just better suited for it.
I know like Doomstorm's doing RE4 remake hitless, and I'm just like, that sounds like a nightmare.
I think
I also
Smokey's
like-
working on that as well.
So I feel like certain hitless runs don't. Like I'm sure I'll probably do Elden Ring hitless at some point.
Like, that's gonna be my next run.
It doesn't interest me in the way some others do because it doesn't have. I like the arc. I like the arc that some runs have. Like DS3 has a great arc.
Yeah,
The way
DS3
the bosses
does.
build and kind of culminates.
And you get through the worst part of it, like once you're past Abyss Watchers, then the run feels like, okay, we're on a
Souls
run.
has a shit arc. Ending on a 13-minute poison cheese.
You don't even have to do that. The game's a joke. You have to hit the last boss 3 times. The magic is too strong in that run. It's ridiculous.
It's just
Tower
watching.
Knight, Tower Knight, you run behind him and hit him once, and he's dead. It's crazy that run.
And Sekiro, like, it's actually funny because the length of runs I'm finding is how they affect me very interesting. Because I've realized, I thought after doing DS3 all bosses, which is about for me like a 3-hour run, 3.5-hour run. Doing Cuphead was in my head. It was like, oh, it's like Cuphead takes 50 minutes to beat if you do it hitless or something. That's not long at all. I kind of miss my runs being a little lengthy because wow, those early resets and the constant redoing of early game and everything is such a drag.
Yeah.
I've fought that flower so many times, dude. Fucking Cagney. But it's like also like there's different challenges in each run. There's always these unique things. Some runs are easier than others, yeah, but I wouldn't say necessarily any run is a gimme.
No.
Definitely.
Like I think most people agree Dark Souls 3 is like kind of the hardest base
one.
any percent you can do. And I mean, based on what I do, I'd say I'd agree with that. That is tough with a lot of more strict gameplay stuff, and especially because I didn't use hidden body either. I didn't really think about it. I thought it would be too hard to just add it into it. But yeah, hidden body can make that. That's like the easiest thing that can make that run.
Yeah.
Well, I think a general consensus is like you don't even need it for any percent. But yeah, I guess it always makes it easier. I mean,
But you just don't have to be accurate with how you aim your alluring skulls, and you can just kind of run around a little bit more. Just gives you more breathing room.
well, and like it comes back to like whatever you want your run to be, right? Because like hidden
Yeah.
body was outlawed in DS3 for like no good reason when there's an equivalent in all the other games.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I forgot about
Things like
that.
I didn't even submit my DS1 run. It's like at the end of the day, nobody cares.
True.
These are for
It's
you
not.
and
It's
for
not
your
like there's
community.
people going on there and just like I'm gonna go admire the Team Hitless walls today.
It's not like there's a hitless adept ability. It's not like anyone who's done 3 runs or
Man.
anything
Oh
could have
man.
gotten that accreditation like a week before they got rid of it.
I still think it would have been cool. They should have kept going. They should have made it tiers like Hitless
I'm
Adept,
basically as good as
Hitless
Killah.
Vanguard.
There's still a Discord role for it, so.
Oh wow! Oh, the Discord role. Ooh wee.
Nuke is pretty excited about that one.
Yeah. Do you guys feel that going the hitless route has, like, would you guys have as many followers, as many viewers, if you did other challenge runs, started out with other challenge runs instead of hitless?
No.
That's
everyone just nope.
The community, like it's what
Yeah.
we built our channels around. So it's like it's possible it would have gone a different route and would have been built around something else, but like that's what we do. That's what people come to see, So
yeah.
I can for sure believe would I have had like as much as an active like chat and everything? Who's to say for that? You can never know. But in terms of like followers and like that ordeal of it, I would say no, probably just because I've met so many more people and have been able to mesh so much more well in this community because of how it really aids itself to watch other people, learn from them, help other people, and communicate over the game versus in like when I started, like Tekken got me my start with like my character and meeting people through there, and that's what got me to affiliate and my own start before I eventually ventured on to Hitless, where I still will like to do a fighting game streams every now and then. But right now I don't really have that on my bucket list. I don't really have a game I want to stream on it. But
like people just don't like. I've gotten some fat raids that are just 100% like Geno raid.
I wouldn't have gotten that in fighting game. Yeah,
wouldn't get MVP raids. Wouldn't get reset raids all the time.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Hitless. That's like just straight up, like
that's fact for sure.
Got 1,000 people in my chat one day, and that just wouldn't have happened. Like, I don't know.
There's still also I think the biggest thing is the networking though. Like Hitless will give you definitely a community to get with it, but even with Hitless, like for the first maybe year and a half a little over a year of streaming, I didn't have that many followers. I just wasn't on. I just didn't participate.
And you didn't
in
really
the community
know anyone to really like hang out in their streams either. And like that's I never was on Twitch before I streamed. I followed one person on Twitch and I maybe jumped in their stream like once a month for like a little bit. So often.
I only watched Hob because that was what my brother sent me, and then he was just like, he's hilarious. I find him very entertaining. And I never tried Hitless for the longest time because to me it was something that was unattainable. And then I just tried it for once. And like I said, that was the only reason I started streaming. It wasn't actually to do anything. It was just that was a way that it recorded your run for you. Because on PlayStation, it can only record an hour kind of thing.
Killah ended up here out of just like, it was just the easiest way to record rather than just self-record on there. Like, have it like saved.
Yeah, but then I didn't have followers. I didn't do much because all I would do was stream, and then the only thing I would watch was Hob. And I was a lurker. I barely even talked in his chat either.
Yeah.
So you only start getting viewers when you interact with people.
Well,
that's one thing.
Like my entire social life has become like I had a fucking Twitch girlfriend for months. Like
they're real connections.
Like real.
Connections. Yeah, they're real. Like I'm probably gonna drive to Canada one day and try to get dinner with you guys someday if y'all would like that.
I'm gonna politely decline, but thank you for offering.
And I'm gonna save the money that you would have spent on dinner with Nix to just double up my dinner.
I want to go.
Killah's gonna be like, oh, perfect. You can take Julifer out while I work on my DS2 run. Have a great time. Can you walk Winston too for me, please?
Yeah.
but it's definitely like the networking thing is very important. Like I've been on Twitch like years ago for a couple of months, and I was part of the World of Warcraft group,
Mhm.
and we had like server first, like Mythic plus 20. Like that's not gonna say anything to you guys, but it's kind of a bigger thing in World of Warcraft. But I didn't do any of the networking back then. Like I just streamed our dungeon runs and done. Um, and I think yeah, once you get like in a community of that and you have that network built out, be it Hitless, be it World of Warcraft, be it Pokemon, whatever, I think it's definitely gonna help build your channel.
Mhm.
And the harder the challenge, I think that the more people it will attract.
Well, I think like people just will gravitate around that shared interest, and like it's true of musical acts. It's true of like conventions.
Mhm.
It's true of like fucking juggalos, you know. And it's like whatever your thing is, you have this shared connective tissue. Like there'll be an artist in that community. You know, you'll thrive making art of the thing you love, or, but at the end of the day, we're all uniting around this shared connective tissue. And I think Team Hitless is quite an anomaly, and it's just a complete fluke that it works with this game. It's the same way like Ironmon came out of Pokemon. It's like, you know, it's taken on a life outside of the initial game
Yeah.
and outside of the initial content. Um, and I don't like I just don't think the games would have had such an enduring and thriving community without having something built on top. I don't think any game. Another one is like the Super Mario ROM hack community. It's like people are still
Mhm.
playing Super Mario World 35 years, like after
Yeah.
whatever, 30 years, and making new stuff with it. And that's really cool. But again, it's because they've reinvented the game. They've doubled down on it, made it something bigger than it initially was, because something can only have magic for so long. And I feel for some of these guys who in this community are running out of runs. They straight up have like can't do, and like
Devin had that problem with Sekiro.
Devin
He
straight up
like,
has that problem. He's
like,
just about to get all bosses DLC. He doesn't know, like he's just
he's
crushing
like,
it.
I'm out of stuff
His
I want
own,
to do.
like what is he gonna do?
Skillogy 2.0, baby. Here we come.
Yeah.
The dev god run. It's time.
But that's the
The
thing.
SL1 Skillogy.
That's the thing. I like. I've said this about Hop in the past. Like, once he gets his God run, what possible thing can he do next? Like, it feels like
Shave
that
his
there's
head.
a natural stopping point there. Sorry, what was that, Nix?
You can
Shave
always
his head.
put
You can shave his
you can
eyebrows.
always-
That's
can
when you
always
just that's just when you make the pivot to being a drama streamer and you just start like having you just start
Start talking about
putting-
Pokemon. Yeah.
You just start talking about Pokemon and whatever she did recently, and just being like, Killah B had a meltdown over his recent SL1 DS2 stream. Still on it 4 years later. Just like, that's the pivot you make.
Yeah. No, that's the thing with restrictions as well, though. Like, can he do? You can make minor changes and people are gonna stay. He's big enough where if he actually wanted to do it, he can play different games.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
There would definitely be a
obviously
drop.
period. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there'd be a drop, but it would pick back up, and he's
What
just very entertaining as well.
Happy Hob have a run that he now needs to work on, or he's got planned or anything?
He's doing-
Stranded.
Yeah, he's doing the DLC right now,
Okay.
but
So,
like
what
then.
is there any other? Is there now like is there like a white whale of Hitless now or anything where it's like
You can make up whatever. No one's done
Yeah.
God Run all bosses.
okay, God run.
There's
all
God
that.
Run 2 all bosses, God Run 3 all bosses, and then
Randomized
obviously
trilogy
consumable
Hitless.
only. Exactly. There's
Like,
like
we're at the point
there's
where
no
it's just like, until the
end
next
to it.
game comes out and becomes God Run 4, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of different restrictions you can put on it.
That's another thing too. It's just like, yeah, like they said, this magic will run out, but FromSoft's still making games, so as long as they're still cooking, we'll kind of low key, theoretically, never run out of games. I mean, like also, they're like Souls has become such a series now too. Like Liza P Hitless is
true. I mean, like, stuff will pivot, but I do think everything like this does end. You know,
yeah.
like every big heyday, it will definitely peak and come down, and I think that's okay. That's just the natural order of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is very much. I think it's very much in its heyday right now, and I think there's more people coming to it.
I
Like,
definitely.
I think the stats are like 2 years ago.
So
The number of people that
when
have
would we
hit this
say
run
Team
compared to
Hitless
like
even?
now, it's like 20 times. You know?
When did Hob first get the God Run? Like when did Hitless really start forming as a community? 2016, 2017?
I don't
I think
know.
he got the God Run in like 2019 or something.
Okay, because I feel like this community's been around for like 5-ish years or 6 years, but like you're saying, Nixon, over the course of the last year or so, it's really kind of
The number
started
of
to
people
take
that are
off
getting
now.
runs every day is crazy.
Yeah, like the community stuff, even compared to like when I first got into it and when I look at it now, I'm just seeing like on pace, on pace, on pace, on pace.
Yeah.
Every day someone getting a run basically.
Yeah.
I kind of think that the whole pandemic situation helped a little bit there as well. Like I think it got a
Mhm.
lot more people into being at home playing video games,
I
trying
think
new
Elden
stuff,
I think Elden
watching.
Ring itself, we always
Yeah,
forget just how much Elden Ring has really sold and how many people got introduced to it
Got
just
like
through Elden.
retroactively played Souls games after loving Elden
Yeah.
Ring so much.
yeah,
Yeah,
Also, No
cuz
Hit League. I got into it. I think a lot of people came over in that first season of No Hit League.
mhm.
yeah,
Just like because I got into this series from Bloodborne, but I mean, yeah, Souls has been popular for about running like I'd say Souls has been pretty mainstream for probably 2 years now, but before that, video gamer mainstream for like a few years, and then like it was that cult game for the first few years with DS1 and
yeah.
DS2 coming out. Bloodborne is like kind of the pivot moment where everyone's like, "Yo, look at this game! Look at this game company over here."
I'd never heard about it until I had a friend who was very excited for Dark Souls 3. I was like, what
Mm-hmm.
is that? And I still hadn't, I never played it until I think I was looking for a game on my Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, Dark Souls Remastered, I've heard of this. And then I played that. And then I remember reading somewhere that some guy did that without getting hit. And then I found a Hob video and I was like, this is the brutal reality. This is going to sound like, oh, this guy is what I pictured speedrunners and challenge runners to be. You know, the silent guy who's just sitting there like, I need to go +4 decks. And they just silently stare. Like, this man has personality. What is this? This is what streaming is?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I got introduced with like back with Demon Souls. Like I've said this before, I'm very much a Souls veteran, and then like the way like I've started with the original, and then seen the entire progression of being it like a very culty game to being the mainstream giant that it is. That it's spawned its entire own genre of video games, and it's been amazing to watch. And stuff like Neo, like the Surge. Like I'm quite surprised that's not more played in the Hitless community as well. Stuff like the Surge, like Neo, I get because it's very RNG based. Well, what weapon drops you're gonna get, so it's a lot harder to plan anything out. But definitely something like the Surge, like or different Souls, like something that you would guys consider going in there, or how do you feel about that one?
For me, like I've said before, the game for hitless for me first stems from like, well, I only do hitless in a game. It's only if I really, really like it. That's why I'm doing Cuphead now because I loved Cuphead before I got into hitless. Different feelings now about it, but like, absolutely loved Cuphead. I started with Sekiro because I love Sekiro. So for me, it needs to kind of come from that base game, and from a lot of like some of the side stuff. There are always like games where I enjoy and everything, but I'm not willing to go that extra step or everything. It's like I don't ever see myself doing a Thymasia hitless. It's like the game looks neat, but I just don't think I'll play the game to begin with.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Tough to say, but I don't know.
Mhm.
I'd have to really enjoy it.
Yeah, there's so many things I
Hollow
want to
Knight
do
would be
with
nice.
these games.
Maybe.
And yeah, games like Hollow Knight. And there are a lot of different games that like the Souls-like thing is pretty much a joke now because every single game with combat is Souls-like.
Like now, yeah.
If you hit them with your sword and you have stamina, wow.
It's so
Yeah.
it's
People-
Souls-like.
The people are using like this Wukong game. It's like, I mean, the Souls-like category. It's not. It's just an action game.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
literally like it's like Devil May Cry almost, kind of.
it's just a good selling feature now.
The
Yeah.
worst offender was Enshrouded. There was nothing.
Oh
that
my
was
God,
That was a
Souls
fucking
meets-
Yeah.
stretch.
Yeah.
Well, they were both video
and
games.
Souls meets Valheim.
We got a health bar and health
Nothing.
potions. You restore your health bar by pressing square, and you break something. It's
Yeah.
like
And I don't know if you know Iron Pineapple on YouTube.
oh my lord.
Yeah, he has a series called Steam Dumpster Diving, where he basically plays 8 games that has the soul-like tag, and the amount of games where you're just like, how is that even remotely related to anything Souls? Like it's
it has-
insane.
If it has checkpoints with bosses and like
Yeah.
you die and respawn and like you pick up something from your death spot and I feel like the meaning of Souls like's been completely lost.
Yeah.
I feel like something being called Souls like was a mistake anyway, because for somehow it's evolved into a genre in of itself. When Dark Souls was always just an action RPG. Like
Yeah, for a
It-
while it was just any game that was difficult
yeah.
or slightly difficult. Now it's just like it feels like it's any game with that kind of combat.
But there is a true Souls like that has very specific mechanics, which would be the stamina, the heal mechanic, the
Yeah.
bonfire mechanic.
Yeah.
Those
general
definitely-
boss design.
And I feel
more
I
like
feel
the
like a
puzzle
lot of
bosses.
people
I feel like the puzzle bosses was very much a FromSoft creation.
Mhm.
in-
I think the problem stems from people seeing other companies inspired by FromSoft, because you see it all the time across the game industry. One
Mhm.
company does something right, and everyone just is like, "Let's do that."
So battle
and I think a
royale was before.
Yeah,
right? Every
yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
every game was a battle royale the year
Yep. Yep.
PUBG took off.
20s, yeah, and then like and then nowadays I think a lot of it people just see how bosses are presented. I think bosses have always been a big thing in video games, but they've gotten this like every boss needs to be big. Every boss needs to have this like grandeur to it. And you could say that for any video game ever, but it's now so much become a staple with how like the way they're shot at, the way you fight them in the arena and everything. Everyone's stolen so many little bits and pieces from Souls games that now it's just like, oh, it's Souls-like, when it's just like, no, it's not Souls-like. It's just they're stealing from FromSoft, and it's how it presents itself. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a Souls game.
There were many Souls like that came before any of the Souls games.
Right.
It's a very loose
proto-Souls-like.
definition. Yeah.
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 I mean, you could say fucking Shadow of the Colossus is a Souls-like.
I
You
guess,
can
but I
make
guess
stretches there,
every
but-
once in a while, like a combat mechanic comes on that sort of takes like a great example is Assassin's Creed mechanics. Which is all basically just like almost like rock paper scissors, but like almost like advanced QTEs, where you'd be in the middle of a thing and it's like they're gonna come at you with this type of attack.
Yeah.
You need to press X to do that one, or if they're coming over the top, you need to hit Y, and if you do the wrong
Well,
one, then
that's like Arkham Asylum combat and everything.
yeah.
too.
So
It's like,
Assassin's Creed was like that. Arkham Asylum, all the Lord of the Rings games that were awesome.
oh, dude, I love Lord of the Rings
Those were
games.
so good. Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor, and it's like
Oh, so good.
that combat system reigned supreme because that was something that was engaging in it. But people didn't call them Assassin's Creed likes. But that was even For Honor is still kind of that.
Yeah.
What I've seen, I actually haven't played it, but it seems like it. And that was the prevailing combat system. And then Souls came along. I was like, well, no, we got this new thing, and it's sort of taken on, but it's been given its own name. And I'm sure in time, maybe you never know. Maybe people will see Wukong and be like, okay, well, no, let's depart a little bit from the Souls.
Well, you
approach.
can really, you can say we're in the heyday of everyone, especially with Elden Ring. We're what, 2 years out from that now? So now we're getting all the game development companies. Now their products are getting cleaned and touched up on that basically are taking a lot of that from there just because of how huge that game was and just how many copies and units it just moved across the board. Because I mean, look at the last year of all the trailers we've got announced. How many games you watch on that? And it's like, wow, like we've gotten how many games that are set up in this samurai setting and everything that just have like these dark, evil bosses of mythical creatures. Like, okay, we're just all just doing our own cool lore, world building stuff and Souls stuff right now. It'll fade away. I mean, I'm always worried that the next FromSoft game is going to be the dud, and that will do it.
I honestly think we're cresting. I
feel like
it's
it's gonna
some flaws in Elden Ring. I'm seeing some.
Yeah,
like,
you can see FromSoft themselves they're probably past their height. Yeah, like you said, Nixon. It's
Elden Ring was like very
feels like a
stars aligning thing.
Yeah.
It was also FromSoft was already up there, like they were at the height of their, or like the ascent, and then they also had George R.R. Martin when
that was
Game of Thrones was huge, so that gets announced and they're like, holy shit, this is like two of the biggest things. I think a lot of it was just having George R.R. Martin help out with it. That's getting to a wide audience that's like, oh, okay, cool, I'll check this out.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it was separated enough from Game of Thrones where it wasn't Game of Thrones related, where the fucking downfall of the last season didn't really tarnish his tie to it either, because it was, because everyone still likes the story, they just didn't like how the show ended, which he really didn't have much control over and everything like that, so he still had the hype behind it.
I'm starting to think we're looking at Wes Anderson's career. I think Royal Tenenbaums,
I like that pool.
And you got this masterpiece, and and then he culminates this big, huge thing. He makes the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yep.
It's very flashy. It's very pretty. It's very well done. But it starts to be like self-indulgent.
We're gonna get an Asteroid
City. We're getting an Isle of Dogs here, and
we're
it's
just like
way too self-indulgent, masturbatory. Way too. You see the formalization of these bosses too. And everyone complains about that with Elden Ring, that we never saw in DS3 or DS2, where every boss has an AoE. Every boss, it's like a lot of the stuff has like run its course, and the ideas, they're going to standbys instead of.
It's kind of like you said with us.
I feel like it's over the crest, kind of.
It's like the Hitless runs you were saying earlier, where we're gonna get to God Run. Then what do you do after God Run? It's just like. A lot of people point out with their DS3 bosses, or with their Elden Ring, especially in the DLC boss design, is like they have to keep cranking the knob up. They're finally in a cornerstone of it where it's like, if we don't keep making these bosses difficult, because look at how many people are getting good at these games. First off, the way they design Radon seemed to be such an answer to like, we got to make him bullshit. Y'all are getting
because it's the only way.
It's literally the only way. We have to put it felt like the more I fought him, the more I looked at it. It felt like that frame trap movie has. I was like, why would you put that in that game? I've started to realize it's like, oh, they had to. They needed to make this boss fight like arbitrarily really hard and bullshit, because just like you have to. It's expected. It's expected now. And it's like also a problem with like a lot of delay-based moves. That's the best thing you can do in cadence with moves and everything. How else do you throw the player off when they start to get that rhyme and rhythm down? It's like we're just have bosses just do this thing where they just I'm coming down. Yeah. That kind of vibe, like, and that's not a fun mechanic because you can't react to that.
I think Radon is definitely a wall for a lot of people. Like, depending on your build, you're gonna have an easy time or a very, very hard time with it. And Minnie has a question for our guests here. Is there any point in a run where you've genuinely believed it was impossible? And if you do, how do you get through that wall?
Killah, take this one.
Yeah.
You've talked.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think my run is impossible. I just think it's very difficult. I think there's certain runs where people say it's impossible, like certain NG +7s. I think like in DS1 and DS3, there's certain fights that once you go far enough, you can't do it. It gets too difficult because you can't control certain things. Mm-hmm. You can't script things. It just gets where it's too much. But if I truly thought a run was impossible, I don't know that I would do it. But there's a lot of stuff where people think it's impossible until somebody does it.
in
I remember you
moments
saying you had
And-
moments of that
passion.
though, like especially with all bosses DLC, DS1, where you thought maybe I can't do an all bosses, maybe I can't even, and you start talking to yourself. I feel like
Yeah. Well, something like that. I get that. I don't think it's impossible. I just think I'm not good enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But that happens mostly toward the end, where you're just taking these hits where it's not anything skill based. It seems it's just you always just make a mistake. And it's not that I think it's impossible. You just it does get to that point where you think maybe you're just not good enough to do it. And
At the moments of dispassion, I always have had like, oh, this run is impossible with me. But it's I always gotta come back to. It's the only moments where it's like I've been on for 5 or 6 hours. I'm mentally drained, and I'm just like, it's with frustration. Anything, the longer you do it, the more it's just going to bleed out and kind of get worse and worse until you take that step back. So I like the best. Like I got pretty sure both my runs I've gotten was when I took a 2-week step back after being really on it, and then just coming back and like the nerves and the overthinking have bled away, where I can just go in with the fresh perspective and still the muscle memory of it, and then you can kind of do it a lot easier.
I do
But
the opposite. I just slam my head against the wall,
and it works,
until it
and it
breaks.
works.
Right.
It's there's different strategies for everybody.
I really should. The week off is a great call. I've never done it, but
It helps. It like it lets.
healthier.
If you take like my problem is like doing it with Cuphead. I don't think it helps for Cuphead because it's such a game of such movement and reaction where it's just like you just need to know what's always happening. I'm gonna go in and have to like kind of de-rust already, even though it's only been a few days. But I don't think I've ever had. I don't think any of these are impossible. And I'll tell like I think I said the same thing to you, Minnie. I've told people in my chat all the time, and they ever ask. It's just like. Anyone can do these. It's just like any other skill. Like if you wanted to learn guitar, if you wanted to really get good at playing piano, drawing, you just come back at it every day. And then just
I
and then
literally
one day,
see it as like learning a song, and I gotta be honest.
and one
with
day you
guys,
can do it. One day you can play that.
like. I used to think that I couldn't play intricate pieces on guitar very well, and I didn't know what practice was until I started doing Hitless. I just realized, like, I was like, oh, the reality is, I just thought practice was this one thing. But when you actually really want something, holy shit, there's this whole new level, this whole new well, and this like amount of wax on, wax off that is real practice.
Yeah.
and that's
and if you go to that well and keep going back to that well, you tap into something much deeper, and anything's possible.
Yep.
yeah. And that's with everything too. People like to look at certain people in whatever field and be like, "Oh, well, they're just gifted." And there's a certain amount of being gifted for something, but no matter how gifted you are, if you're not working on it, you're not going to be at that
Jordan
level.
was the first one to practice, last one to leave every day. You
Yeah.
know? Like it's like
I-
he was the best.
I have
He
on
had a
my
natural
wall.
gift. But
Yeah.
like, was one thing from The Last Dance that always stuck with me, where he's like, I never asked anybody to do anything that I didn't do. When they talked about how hard he could be to work with, and it's like, and you know,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that made him the best. You know.
Yeah.
He was
And
probably
like
very difficult to work with.
I have it written on. I have it on a plaque on my wall. It's a quote from Killah. It says like, "You got really good reaction timing," and I'm like, "Oh my god, Killah, thank you." But even though like I say my reaction time is good, I still would have never gotten my Sekiro run or my DS3 run if I wasn't on it every single like 4 or 5 days out of the week for multiple hours on end practicing it. Did it help? Yeah, I definitely think it helped me get into that crest of practicing it more and like getting a low PB and starting off strong. I don't think it's what gave me the run though. I think
Well,
it's
everybody has their own strengths too. Like people excel
Yeah.
at different things.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm
Like
very spacey. I'm very like I'll make stupid mistakes. All the
my
time,
Yeah.
like my just go
but I can show
personality
up.
that you've talked about, Nixon, where like I
It's
just
fucking
go.
constant thing.
It has benefits and it has drawbacks. The benefits
Totally.
are I don't overthink it too much. The negatives are I sometimes need to overthink it a little more.
You have no idea what the shit that Chris knows in bingo, and that's where it's like.
It's like I can
it's
have
like,
as much
oh,
as a
fuck.
gung ho attitude as I want. He
But-
knows to
but
go
again-
zip zap zip zam. I know.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking doing this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, but
So, Minnie, does that answer your question? Also, if anyone else has any questions for our panel here, feel free to ask. But apparently nothing about mules. I don't know what's going on in chat.
Is that about Moscow mules? I could go for one of those right now.
There's some taboo subjects. Mules are off base. Also, PB&J. We don't want to fucking war here. So let's not talk about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah, let's talk instead about chickens and waffles.
It's match made in heaven.
Fuck off.
No, you're
talking to a man from Georgia and two people who've already gone on record saying they enjoy it. So
love chicken and waffles, dude.
Exactly.
Oh, fuck off. No. I'm from Belgium, the land of waffles. We were literally like the ground under our feet is waffles. Nowhere, anywhere near there is our chicken.
Look, man, I could probably find 5 restaurants within a mile radius that can have that as a brunch option.
You need to branch out to waffle likes, okay? You're too rooted. In traditional waffles. There's different devs out there who've done things with waffles that the original developers just couldn't have
considered.
Okay, all right.
Listen, video games, all you need. You don't need graphics. You don't need anything. You need one paddle on one side, one on the other, one fucking ball that bounces around, and that's all you need. That's all you need for video games.
It's a video.
I don't know why you punish yourself and don't just have fucking chicken and waffles. Fried chicken and waffles.
I really don't even want to fucking try it. Like, there's nothing appealing about that.
What do you mean there's nothing appealing about that, dude? You get the sweet, savory meat of a chicken, especially if it's been fried and everything, and then you go after that bite onto a sweet, soft, and savory, covered in maple syrup waffle bite. It's like Remy in Ratatouille when he takes a bite of the cheese and he sees it happening over here, and he takes a bite of the strawberry. You put them together, you got an orchestra.
No.
All self-care, Ginge.
Beautiful.
Go.
Beautiful.
Jesus Christ. So Ginge would rather slaughter a petting zoo and put it on dough, calling it pizza. This is true. But so any other questions from anyone in chat? Because I feel that the waffle and chicken thing, like we can be discussing this for another hour or two, so let's not.
My thoughts on chicken and waffles are: it's good. I don't care what anyone thinks.
We should listen to the person that's never tried it. That's who the expert is on it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm the authority on waffles.
Yeah. We're not talking about waffles. We're talking about chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles. Evolved format.
Yeah.
Ali, you're allowed one not appropriate question. We'll see who answers it. Yeah.
Winston
Winston has a question. What's the question? Can you eat? Can you go outside? Can you eat all over my backyard? Is that your question? Sure.
I love how his ears perked up at outside. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good boy.
But yeah.
Oh. Damn it, now I have to think of one.
Alright, Ginge, if you could pick one pizza topping that could from a petting zoo.
The animal handlers, the female ones in particular.
Now,
I answered for you, Ginge.
Only the hot ones, please.
Yeah.
I've put a photo of a pizza I had, like of a pizza I order on the regular. It has ham, chicken, pita, so shawarma, kebab meat,
pieces of waffle,
salami, pepperoni, and then all that just covered in cheese. And then
Sounds good.
Doc, as our vegetarian, did not like that.
Yeah, that's got a couple ingredients that wouldn't be good for a vegetarian.
You know, they might be upset about 1 or 2 of those items, but I think they could probably find a way over and through it.
Yeah. Just pick off what they do eat. I mean,
Exactly.
I don't think it works that way.
Well,
all right, Minnie, thank you very much for joining. I think Mavis is gone too. Mavis, thank you very much for joining too. And I think it kind of feels like a natural stopping point here, guys. What do you feel?
Yeah,
I feel like this is a good podcast. This is a good little 2 hours. I enjoyed this. This is a nice discussion, boys. Thank you for having us, Ginge.
Yeah, thank you guys
Yeah,
very much
thank
for
you.
joining. Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to have you guys on for another one. Like we're gonna try and do them on a weekly basis, but not always with the same people. Like I want to get some variety, some different standpoints from like on different topics and everything. But yeah, for the first one, like I really enjoyed the conversations we all had.
it's a good talk. It's a good
Yeah,
talk.
dude. It was really fun.
I think
Thank you.
Akatiny brings up a great point. And
Yeah.
says, the channel's
Cheap
cheap
viewers.
viewers at
Oh,
tournament
and they're gone.
I
Wow.
think
Okay.
that really
Well,
resonates. Really resonates.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I'm gonna hop off before you guys so I can go get those cheap viewers. But I
Wow,
just gotta
you would.
rinse
You
them
always
after.
don't want to undercut me.
You guys
Always.
need to talk. It's
community is
fine.
all
I'm
toxic.
gonna
Now that we-
it's
the real
finally
network
not
he's
really,
talking
guys.
about.
I know you've been gunning for my
I'll
viewers.
get you viewers.
Why
my viewers
We'll
always
probably get a
fucking
deal.
deal.
I know
if
one
we
did.
get- there's
I know
different
you.
people.
I'm going before
You paid me
if-
$5.
They're gonna get.
Right now, and now Nixon got it. And now Nixon got it.
All right. Yeah.
Uh,
See ya.